Marcus Chen built his fortune the hard way, coding in cramped apartments, sleeping 3 hours a night, turning a simple food delivery app into a $2 billion empire that changed how America ate. By age 37, his company Deliver now operated in 43 states, employed 18,000 people, and made him one of the youngest tech billionaires in San Francisco. Yet tonight, standing in his Pacific Heights mansion overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge, Marcus felt something twist in his chest that money couldn't fix. His daughter Emma, only 7 years old, sat at the far end of the dining table, pushing food around her plate without eating. Her brown eyes, so much like her late mother's, stayed fixed downward. She hadn't looked at him in 3 days. His son Tyler, barely 4, refused to leave his room when Cassandra was home. The boy who once ran laughing through these halls now spent hours hiding under his bed, clutching the stuffed elephant his mother gave him before the accident took her away. 18 months had passed since Rebecca died. 18 months of trying to be both father and mother, of failing at both, of drowning himself in work to escape the crushing grief. Then Cassandra arrived, beautiful, polished, perfect on paper, a pediatric therapist with credentials from Stanford. She'd swept into his life at a charity gala, promising to help heal his broken family. 6 months later, he'd proposed. The wedding was planned for September, just 3 months away. His board of directors approved. His friends congratulated him. Everyone said he was finally moving forward. Everyone except his children. "Emma, sweetheart," Marcus tried again, his voice gentle. "Please eat something." The little girl's shoulders tensed. She glanced quickly toward Cassandra, who sat beside Marcus wearing a cream silk blouse and a practiced smile. "She's just being difficult," Cassandra said smoothly, reaching for her wine glass. "Children test boundaries when they sense change coming. It's completely normal." But Emma's hands trembled slightly as she picked up her fork. That wasn't normal defiance. That was fear. Tyler's voice suddenly echoed from upstairs, crying out in his sleep. Marcus started to rise, but Cassandra touched his arm. "I'll check on him," she said. "You finish your dinner. You have that board meeting in the morning." She glided toward the stairs, her heels clicking against the marble floor. The moment she disappeared from view, Emma's rigid posture softened slightly. She looked up at her father, and for just 1 second, he saw something in her eyes that made his blood run cold. It was the same look Rebecca had in the hospital, silent desperation, wanting to say something but unable to find the words. "Daddy," Emma whispered, "can you please tuck me in tonight?" Not her. The plea broke something inside him. That night, after both children finally slept, Marcus sat alone in his study. The city lights sparkled below, but he saw nothing except Emma's frightened eyes and Tyler's empty place at the dinner table. He pulled up his laptop and began reviewing the house security footage from the past week, something he'd never done before. The mansion had 16 cameras throughout, installed after a break-in attempt 2 years ago. He'd forgotten they existed until tonight. He started with Monday afternoon when he'd been at the office. The timestamp read 3:15 p.m. Emma arrived home from school, dropped her backpack in the entryway, and called out, "I'm home." Cassandra appeared from the kitchen. The moment she thought no one important was watching, her smile vanished. She grabbed Emma's arm, not gently, and said something Marcus couldn't hear through the silent footage. Emma's face crumpled. She nodded quickly, fear written across every feature. Marcus's jaw clenched. He fast-forwarded through the week. Tuesday, Cassandra yanking Tyler's hand when he spilled juice. Wednesday, Emma flinching when Cassandra walked past. Thursday, both children eating dinner alone in the kitchen while Cassandra spoke on the phone in French, laughing about something. Then he found Friday's footage. 3:47 p.m. A woman he barely recognized appeared on screen. Maria Santos, the housekeeper he'd hired 4 months ago. She was young, maybe 28, always quiet, always efficient. He realized with shame that he'd never actually had a real conversation with her beyond basic instructions. On the screen, Maria knelt beside Tyler, who sat crying in the hallway. She wiped his tears gently, whispered something that made him nod, then produced a small wrapped candy from her apron pocket. Tyler's face transformed. The first genuine smile Marcus had seen in weeks. Cassandra appeared suddenly in the frame. Even through silent footage, her anger was visible. She pointed sharply toward the kitchen. Maria stood slowly, head lowered respectfully, and walked away. But before she left, she turned back once and mouthed something to Tyler. "It's okay." Marcus pressed pause. His heart pounded. He'd been so blind, so consumed by grief and guilt and work, that he'd missed what was happening in his own home. He needed proof, real proof, something undeniable. He thought of his company, how he'd built it by understanding the ground level, by sometimes working delivery shifts himself in the early days to see what drivers experienced. He'd made millions by being willing to get his hands dirty, to see truth from the bottom up rather than the top down. The idea came suddenly, impossibly. If he announced a business trip, 2 weeks in New York for investor meetings, Cassandra would let her guard down completely. And if he came back not as Marcus Chen, billionaire CEO, but as just another anonymous delivery driver, he could see everything, the real everything. His hands shook slightly as he pulled out his phone and texted his lawyer and oldest friend, David Park. "Need to talk, tomorrow morning. It's about the kids. Something's very wrong." 24 hours later, Marcus stood in a motel bathroom 30 miles from home, barely recognizing his own reflection. Gone was the sharp haircut maintained by a $200 stylist. He'd buzzed it himself, uneven and rough, like someone who couldn't afford better. He'd grown stubble for 2 days, making his jaw look harder, older. Brown contact lenses covered his distinctive light eyes, the eyes that appeared in business magazines and tech conference promotional materials. The DeliverNow uniform felt strange against his skin, the same polyester material worn by thousands of his employees. He'd ordered it online using a fake name, along with used sneakers from a thrift shop and a worn backpack that had seen better days. "You're absolutely insane," David had said that morning when Marcus explained the plan. "This isn't a movie. You're risking everything, the company, your reputation, custody of your kids, if this goes wrong." "If I'm wrong, I look like a paranoid fool," Marcus had replied quietly. "But if I'm right, and I do nothing—" "David, I saw fear in my daughter's eyes. Real fear." David had sighed, then pulled out legal papers. "Fine, I've drawn up documents making me temporary guardian if something happens. And I've created a background identity. Marcus Reed, DeliverNow driver, clean record, no red flags. But Marcus, be careful. Women like Cassandra, if she really is what you think, they're dangerous when cornered." Now transformed into Marcus Reed, he downloaded the driver app on a burner phone. His company's algorithm would route him to deliveries in his own neighborhood without any human intervention, just another anonymous worker in the system he'd built. He tested his voice, dropping it slightly, removing the polished cadence he'd developed over years of boardroom presentations. "Deliver now, delivery for Chen residents." The words felt foreign, humble, perfect. He'd told Cassandra about the New York trip 3 days ago. She'd smiled sympathetically, kissed his cheek, promised to take excellent care of the children. This morning he'd left with his suitcase, hugged Emma and Tyler goodbye, and driven to the airport, then circled back to this anonymous motel. His phone, his real phone, powered off and hidden in the motel's safe, contained everything: his identity, his fortune, his entire life. The burner phone in his hand held only the delivery app and David's number for emergencies. Marcus looked one last time at his reflection. The billionaire was gone. In his place stood someone invisible, someone the world looked past, exactly what he needed to be. He grabbed the worn backpack, checked that the small audio recorder was hidden in the interior pocket, and walked out into the bright California morning. His own mansion was 12 miles away. The distance had never felt longer. As he drove the old Honda Civic David had secured for him, Marcus whispered a prayer, something he hadn't done since Rebecca's funeral. Please let me be wrong. Please let this all be paranoia. But deep in his chest, he knew he wasn't wrong, and that terrified him most of all. CTA number 1. If you're already hooked on this story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Section 4, the first delivery, 525 words. The deliver. Now app pinged at 11:23 a.m. Marcus reads, heart jumped. Order number 847392, Chen Residence, 2847 Belmont Avenue, Thai food, pickup, Bangkok Breeze Restaurant, delivery time 12:15 p.m. His own address, his own house. The algorithm had assigned him randomly, exactly as he'd hoped. He accepted the order with trembling fingers. 30 minutes later, he pulled up to the service entrance of his mansion, a driveway he'd never actually used. Delivery drivers, contractors, staff, they all came through the back. As Marcus Chen, he'd entered through the grand front entrance with its imported Italian marble and smart security system. Now he understood what Rebecca had meant years ago when she said, "This house has two faces, the one for people like us and the one for everyone else." He grabbed the bag of Thai food and walked to the back door, keeping his head slightly lowered, his posture different, the stance of someone used to being ignored. Through the kitchen window he could see movement. Maria was washing dishes, her dark hair pulled back in a neat bun. Cassandra sat at the breakfast bar, scrolling through her phone, a half-empty mimosa glass beside her despite it being barely noon. Marcus knocked gently. Cassandra didn't move. Maria dried her hands and opened the door. "Deliver now," Marcus said, deepening his voice slightly. "Order for Chen." Maria's eyes, warm, kind eyes, met his briefly. "Thank you," she said softly. She reached for her wallet. "Already paid online," Marcus said, though he knew that. He'd ordered it himself 2 hours ago from the motel, using a prepaid card. "Oh," Maria smiled apologetically. "Would you like some water? You must be tired, working in this heat." The simple kindness in her offer nearly broke his cover. When was the last time someone had offered him, just him, not the billionaire, not the CEO, something without wanting anything in return? "I'm fine, ma'am," he managed, "but thank you." Cassandra's voice cut through the moment. "Maria, who are you talking to?" "Just the delivery driver, Miss Cassandra." "Then close the door. You're letting the air conditioning out." Maria's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Patient endurance. She'd heard that tone before, many times. As Maria started to close the door, Marcus heard small footsteps on the stairs inside. Emma's voice carried faintly, "Is Daddy home?" "No, sweetie," Maria answered gently. "Just food delivery. Come have lunch." "I'm not hungry." Cassandra's voice turned sharp. "Emma, Chen, you will come down here and eat, or you'll spend the afternoon in your room with no tablet privileges." Through the crack in the closing door, Marcus saw his daughter appear at the bottom of the stairs. Her shoulders were hunched, her expression carefully blank, the look of someone who'd learned that showing emotion was dangerous. Maria glanced at Marcus apologetically, then closed the door gently. He stood there for 5 seconds, hands clenched around the empty delivery bag, fighting every instinct to kick down that door and gather his children into his arms. Instead, he walked slowly back to the car, pulled out his phone, and marked the delivery complete. The app pinged again immediately. "New delivery available. Chen Residence, 2847 Belmont Avenue. Grocery order. Pickup. Whole Foods Market." Marcus smiled grimly. Cassandra was ordering frequently, which meant he'd have multiple chances to observe, to gather evidence, to see the truth she only showed when she thought no one important was watching. He accepted the order and drove toward Whole Foods. The real investigation had just begun. Over the next 3 days, Marcus made 7 deliveries to his own house. Each one revealed another layer of the nightmare his children were living. Tuesday afternoon, he arrived with a wine delivery. Through the kitchen window, he watched Cassandra pour herself a third glass before 2 p.m. Emma sat at the counter doing homework, her pencil moving slowly across the page. "This is wrong," Cassandra snapped, snatching the workbook. "How many times have I explained fractions? Are you stupid?" Emma's lip trembled. "I'm trying." "Trying isn't good enough. Your father expects excellence." Cassandra ripped the page out. "Start over, and if you cry, you'll do the entire assignment twice." Maria appeared from the laundry room carrying folded towels. She set them down gently and said, "Miss Cassandra, maybe she needs a different explanation. I could help her." "Did I ask for your input?" Cassandra's voice turned to ice. "You're the housekeeper, not the tutor. Stay in your lane." "Yes, ma'am," Maria said quietly, but she caught Emma's eye and mouthed, "After," with a small, encouraging nod. Marcus signed for the wine delivery with hands that shook with rage. The small recorder in his backpack captured every word. Wednesday morning brought a pharmacy delivery. Tyler was having a tantrum in the living room, the normal kind that 4-year-olds have, crying because his favorite show had ended. Cassandra grabbed his arm hard enough that Tyler yelped, "Stop that noise right now, or I'll give you something real to cry about." "He's just tired," Maria said, stepping forward carefully. "Maybe if he takes a nap, maybe if you did your actual job, instead of coddling these spoiled children, this house would run properly." Cassandra shoved Tyler toward the stairs. "Go to your room, now. No lunch until you apologize for embarrassing me." Tyler stumbled on the first step. Maria rushed forward, catching him before he fell. She picked him up gently, whispering something soft in Spanish that Marcus couldn't quite hear. Cassandra's eyes narrowed. "Put him down. He walks himself, or he doesn't eat at all today." Maria hesitated for just a moment, and in that moment Marcus saw something remarkable. This young housekeeper, who earned $32 an hour to clean his enormous house, was weighing whether to risk her job to protect his son. She set Tyler down gently, but kept her hand on his shoulder, steadying him. "It's okay, mi amor," she whispered. "You're so brave. Just go upstairs and rest. I'll bring you something later." Tyler nodded, wiping his tears with small fists, and climbed the stairs slowly. Marcus stood at the service door, pretending to check his phone, recording everything. When Maria finally answered his knock and took the pharmacy bag, he saw exhaustion in her face. And something else. Determination. "Long day?" he asked quietly, breaking from his usual brief exchanges. Maria glanced behind her, then back at him. Her voice dropped. "Every day is long in this house," she said carefully, "but some days are harder than others." "The kids seem quiet," Marcus ventured. Maria's eyes met his fully for the first time. She studied his face, and for a terrifying second, he thought she might recognize him, but she only nodded slowly. "Yes," she said softly, "too quiet. Children should laugh more." She closed the door gently, and Marcus walked back to his car, feeling like he'd just found an ally, someone who saw what he saw, who cared like he should have been there to care. Thursday afternoon brought the breaking point. The delivery order came through at 4:17 p.m. Emergency grocery run, including children's pain medication and bandages. Marcus's stomach dropped. Why would they need bandages? He drove faster than he should have, his mind racing through terrible possibilities. When he reached the house, he didn't go to the service entrance. Something made him walk around the side, near the garden, where tall hedges blocked the view from the street, but not from someone standing close to the house. Through the living room window, he saw everything. Tyler sat on the couch, crying softly, holding his left arm close to his body. Emma stood beside him, her face pale with fear. Cassandra paced in front of them, her phone pressed to her ear. "No, I don't need to take him to the hospital," she said, her voice sharp with irritation. "Children fall, it happens. I'm a trained therapist. I know a fracture from a bruise." Marcus's blood turned to ice. Tyler was hurt, and she wasn't taking him for medical care. He watched as Cassandra ended the call and turned to the children. "This is what happens when you don't listen. I told you not to run in the house. I told you the stairs were dangerous, but you never listen." "He was just playing," Emma said, her small voice shaking. "It was an accident." "Don't talk back to me." Cassandra stepped closer, her finger pointing in Emma's face. "Your father left me in charge, and I'm tired of your disrespect. Both of you." The front door opened suddenly. Maria rushed in, still wearing her coat. She'd obviously just returned from an errand. "Miss Cassandra, I'm sorry I'm late. The pharmacy was—" She stopped, seeing Tyler's tear-stained face and protective position. "What happened? Is he hurt?" "He fell," Cassandra said coldly. "I'm handling it." Maria dropped her purse and moved toward Tyler, her professional demeanor shifting to something fierce and protective. "Let me see, baby," she said gently, kneeling beside him. "Step away from him," Cassandra ordered. Maria ignored her. She carefully examined Tyler's arm, her touch gentle but thorough. Tyler whimpered but didn't pull away. He trusted her. "This needs to be X-rayed," Maria said firmly, looking up at Cassandra. "His arm is swelling. He might have a fracture." "I said I'm handling it." "He needs a doctor," Maria insisted, standing now, placing herself between Cassandra and the children. "I'll take him myself if—" The slap came so fast that Marcus almost missed it. Cassandra's hand connected with Maria's cheek, with a crack that echoed through the window. Maria's head snapped to the side, but she didn't step back. She stood firm, one hand still protectively on Tyler's shoulder. "How dare you?" Cassandra hissed. "You're fired. Get out of my house. Now!" Marcus's vision blurred with rage. His hand went to the doorknob. He was going to storm in, reveal everything, consequences be damned. But Maria spoke, her voice steady despite the red mark blooming on her face. "No," Cassandra blinked. "What did you say?" "I said no." Maria lifted her chin. "I'm not leaving these children alone with you, not until their father comes home. I'll call the police. I'll have you arrested for trespassing." "Then call them," Maria said quietly, "and I'll tell them why a 4-year-old has a suspected broken arm that you won't take to the hospital. I'll tell them why Emma flinches every time you walk past her. I'll tell them everything I've seen these past 4 months." The room fell silent. Cassandra's face twisted with fury, but something else flickered there too. Fear. Fear of exposure. "You have no proof," Cassandra finally said, her voice low and dangerous. "It's your word against mine, and who do you think they'll believe? A Stanford-educated therapist engaged to Marcus Chen, or a housekeeper from East Oakland?" Maria's eyes filled with tears, but her voice didn't waver. "Maybe they'll believe me. Maybe they won't. But at least I'll know I tried." Outside the window, Marcus's hands shook as he pulled out his phone. Not the burner, but his real phone, activated now because this couldn't wait another second. He dialed 911 with trembling fingers. "My name is Marcus Chen," he said quietly. "I need police and an ambulance at 2847 Belmont Avenue immediately. My son has been injured, and my fiancée is preventing medical care." Then he walked through the front door, his front door, and into the war zone his home had become. The grand entrance door swung open with a force that made everyone freeze. Marcus strode in, still wearing the DeliverNow uniform, the worn backpack, the buzzed hair. But he no longer carried himself like a delivery driver. He moved with the contained fury of a man who had seen his worst fears confirmed. Cassandra turned, her mouth opening in confusion. "Who the hell?" Then recognition hit her like a physical blow. Her face went white. "Marcus?" she whispered. Emma gasped. "Daddy?" Tyler pushed off the couch despite his injured arm and ran toward him, saying, "Daddy, you came back." Marcus caught his son carefully, mindful of the swelling arm. He knelt down, pulling Emma close with his other arm, holding both children while his heart shattered and rebuilt itself simultaneously. "I'm here," he whispered against their hair. "I'm so sorry. I'm here now." Maria stood frozen, her hand still pressed against her reddening cheek, tears streaming down her face. She looked at Marcus. really looked at him, and understanding dawned in her eyes. "You were watching," she said softly. "All those deliveries. You were watching." Marcus nodded, standing now with Tyler balanced on his hip. "I was, and I saw everything." Cassandra found her voice, shifting tactics instantly. "Marcus, thank God you're back. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. Maria attacked me, and when I tried to protect the children—" "Stop talking." Marcus's voice cut through her excuses like steel. "I have 3 days of audio recordings. I have surveillance footage from every camera in this house. I have a witness," he nodded toward Maria, "who has more integrity in her smallest finger than you have in your entire body." Cassandra's face cycled through emotions: shock, fear, calculation, and finally rage. "You spied on me. You dressed up like some kind of stalker and spied on your own fiancée?" "I protected my children," Marcus corrected coldly. "Something I should have done months ago." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. "You can't prove anything," Cassandra said desperately. "Those recordings are inadmissible. This is my house too." "Actually, it's not." David Park appeared in the doorway, flanked by 2 police officers and 2 paramedics. "You're not on the deed. You're not on any legal documents. You have no claim here whatsoever." The paramedics moved immediately to Tyler. One of them, a woman with kind eyes, knelt beside him. "Hey, buddy, can I look at your arm?" Tyler nodded but clutched his father's shirt. "Don't leave, Daddy." "I'm right here, son. I'm not going anywhere ever again." One of the officers, a sergeant with graying hair, looked at Marcus. "Mr. Chen, we received your call. Can you explain the situation?" Marcus handed him the audio recorder from his backpack. "Everything you need is on here. Verbal abuse, physical intimidation, withholding medical care from a minor." He looked at Cassandra. "And assault. She struck Maria Santos approximately 8 minutes ago." Maria stepped forward, showing the red mark on her cheek. "I can testify to everything. I have dates, times, specific incidents." The second officer moved toward Cassandra. "Ma'am, I need you to come with us for questioning." "This is insane," Cassandra shrieked. "I'm the victim here. He's having some kind of breakdown." "Ma'am, you need to calm down," the sergeant said firmly. "Do you know who I am? Do you know who he is?" Cassandra pointed at Marcus. "He's a billionaire. He has the resources to fabricate anything. You're believing the word of a delivery driver costume and a housekeeper over mine?" The sergeant's expression didn't change. "I'm believing recorded evidence, ma'am. Now please, come voluntarily, or I'll place you under arrest." Cassandra's face contorted with pure hatred. She looked at Marcus. "You'll regret this. I'll destroy you. I'll go to the media. I'll tell them you're an unfit father who abandoned his children to play dress-up." Marcus met her gaze steadily. "Do your worst, because the truth is already out, and nothing you say can change what you did." The officer took Cassandra's arm gently but firmly. As they walked her toward the door, she turned back once, her voice venomous. "Those children are broken, Marcus, just like you, and no amount of money will ever fix that." Maria moved before anyone could stop her. She stepped directly into Cassandra's path, her voice ringing clear through the entire foyer. "You're wrong," Maria said. "Children aren't broken, they're wounded, and wounds heal when they're treated with love instead of cruelty." Cassandra sneered. "What would you know about raising children, cleaning women?" "I know that they deserve better than you," Maria said simply, "and that's all that matters." The officers led Cassandra out. The door closed behind them with a finality that seemed to lift a weight from the entire house. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. The paramedic looked up from examining Tyler's arm. "We need to take him for x-rays. It's definitely fractured, a clean break, thankfully, but it needs to be set and casted." Marcus nodded, his throat tight. "I'll ride with him." Me too, Emma said quickly, grabbing her father's hand. Of course, sweetheart. We stay together now. The paramedic smiled. Family can all ride together. We've got room. As they prepared to leave, Marcus turned to Maria, who stood quietly by the stairs, her hand still pressed against her bruised cheek. Maria, he said softly, will you please stay? I know I have no right to ask. I'll stay, she said immediately. These children need consistency right now. I'll be here when you return. David stepped forward. I'll stay with Maria. Make sure everything's secure. Take your time at the hospital. Marcus wanted to say more, wanted to thank her, apologize to her, acknowledge what she'd done, but Tyler whimpered softly, and he knew medical care had to come first. We'll talk when I get back, he promised. Please, there's so much I need to say. Maria nodded, her eyes still glistening. Go, take care of your son. I'll be here. The ambulance ride took 12 minutes. Tyler sat on Marcus's lap, his small body trembling occasionally. Emma pressed against his side, quiet but present. Daddy, Tyler said in a tiny voice, is the mean lady coming back? Marcus felt his heart crack open. No, buddy, she's never coming back, I promise. Really? Emma asked, looking up at him with those eyes so like her mother's. You promise? I promise on Mommy's memory, Marcus said, pulling her closer. She's gone, and I'm here. I'm staying. Emma burst into tears, the first real tears he'd seen from her in months. She sobbed against his chest while he held her and Tyler, this broken little family of 3, in the back of an ambulance racing toward healing. At the hospital, the x-rays confirmed a simple fracture. Tyler would need a cast for 6 weeks, but he'd heal completely. The doctor, an older man with gentle hands, examined both children thoroughly. Any other injuries I should know about? He asked carefully, his eyes meeting Marcus's with concern. Emotional ones, Marcus said honestly. They've been scared for several months. The doctor nodded. I'm going to have our trauma counselor come by. She specializes in childhood anxiety and stress. No pressure, just someone to talk to if they want. Emma looked up at her father. Can Maria come with us to talk to the lady? She makes me feel safe. Marcus swallowed hard. Yes, sweetheart. We'll ask Maria to come with us. 2 hours later, Tyler sported a bright blue cast covered in stickers the nurses had given him. Emma carried a bag of coloring books and stuffed animals from the hospital gift shop. They looked exhausted but lighter somehow, as if a terrible weight had begun to lift. David met them at the entrance with the car. All quiet at home, Maria made dinner, mac and cheese, per her understanding of what kids want after a hospital visit. She was right, by the way. The smell is amazing. Marcus smiled despite everything. She would know. She's been paying attention. Unlike some people, David said pointedly. Marcus didn't argue. It was true. He'd been blind, and his children had paid the price. The drive home was quiet. Tyler dozed against his father's shoulder. Emma held Marcus's hand tightly, as if afraid he might disappear again. When they pulled up to the mansion, every light was on. Through the windows, Marcus could see Maria moving in the kitchen, setting plates at the breakfast bar, not the formal dining room where Cassandra had insisted they eat like they were on display, but the warm, informal space where a family could just be together. Home, Marcus thought. This is what home is supposed to feel like. They walked inside together, and Maria turned from the stove, her face lighting up with genuine relief. You're back, she said softly. How's our brave boy? Tyler lifted his casted arm proudly. It's blue. Want to sign it? I would be honored, Maria said, blinking back tears. Emma ran to her, hugging her waist. Thank you for staying. Thank you for not leaving us. Maria knelt down, cupping Emma's face gently. Mi amor, I will never leave you, not unless you ask me to. Over Emma's head, her eyes met Marcus's. In that moment, 1,000 unspoken words passed between them. Thank you. I'm sorry. You saved them. We'll save them together. The billionaire went undercover as a delivery man until the maid exposed his fiancée's deadly lies. Part 3. The Humble Reckoning Final. Section 9. The crushing realization, 450 words. After the children finally fell asleep, both in Marcus's bed, refusing to let him out of their sight, he found Maria in the kitchen. She was washing dishes by hand, even though the house had 2 dishwashers. The bruise on her cheek had darkened to deep purple. "You don't have to do that," Marcus said quietly from the doorway. Maria turned, startled. "I know, but it helps me think clearly." Marcus walked closer, keeping a respectful distance. For the first time in 4 months, he really looked at her, not as the invisible staff member who cleaned his house, but as the woman who had stood between his children and danger. "How long have you known," she asked suddenly, "that she was hurting them?" Marcus felt shame wash through him. "I suspected for about a week, but I was too much of a coward to confront it directly." "You were protecting them," Maria said gently. "You needed proof." "No," Marcus shook his head firmly. "I was protecting myself. I was afraid of being wrong, afraid of another failure." His voice broke. "Rebecca would be ashamed of me." Maria set down the dish and turned to face him fully. "Your wife would be proud that you finally saw the truth, proud that you chose your children over your pride." Silence fell between them. Marcus took a breath. "I need to apologize to you, properly." "You don't, please." He stepped closer, his eyes meeting hers. "You worked in my house for 4 months, and I never once had a real conversation with you. I saw you as furniture, as something that existed to make my life easier." Maria's eyes glistened. "You protected my children when I wasn't there," Marcus continued, his voice thick. "You stood up to a woman more powerful than you. You risked your job, your safety, everything, and I didn't even know your last name until tonight." A tear slipped down Maria's cheek. "Maria Santos," Marcus said softly. I'm sorry for being blind. I'm sorry that you had to be the parent, because I was too broken to do it myself." "You were grieving," Maria whispered. "That's no excuse." Marcus swallowed hard. "You saved my children, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of what you did." Maria looked down at her hands. "I didn't do it for you, Mr. Chen. I did it for them, because every child deserves to feel safe." "I know," Marcus said, "but that doesn't make me any less grateful." They stood in the quiet kitchen, only the soft hum of the refrigerator breaking the silence. Finally, Maria spoke. "What happens now?" Marcus had been asking himself the same question. "Now I need to figure out how to be the father they deserve, and I need to ask something I have no right to ask." Maria looked up, waiting. "Will you stay?" Marcus asked quietly. "Not as a housekeeper, as family, as the person who sees my children, who cares about them. They trust you, they love you." He paused. "And I need someone who will tell me when I'm failing them again." Maria's breath caught. "Mr. Chen." "Marcus, please." "Marcus," she said carefully, "I don't know if that's appropriate. The only thing that matters is that you're a better parent than I've been," Marcus said honestly. "You kept my children safe. That's what counts." Maria closed her eyes, tears streaming. "They need stability. They need to know people won't disappear." "Then don't disappear," Marcus said. "Stay. Help me learn to be present." He paused. "And let me help you too. Emma mentioned you're taking classes. Whatever you're studying, let me support that." "Social work," Maria said softly. "I want to help families like yours, where children get lost in the brokenness." Marcus felt his throat tighten. Of course she was. "Then let me help," he said. Maria was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. "I'll stay, for them. But Marcus, if you disappear into work again, I will take them and leave. Those children deserve a father who shows up." "I understand," Marcus said. "I promise on Rebecca's memory, I will show up every day." Maria extended her hand. Marcus took it and they shook, a pact sealed with shared commitment to 2 small souls who deserved better. The next morning, Marcus made a phone call that would change everything. "Board meeting, today, emergency session." At DeliverNow headquarters, employees stared as Marcus walked through the lobby with Emma and Tyler beside him. In the boardroom, 15 executives waited. David sat at the far end, offering an encouraging nod. "I'm restructuring my role, effective immediately," Marcus announced, standing with his children on either side. "For the next 6 months, I'll work remotely 3 days per week. The other 2 days, essential meetings only. No more 14-hour days, no more weekend sessions." His CFO, Jennifer, spoke carefully. "The investors won't be happy. Then they can sell their shares," Marcus said calmly. "I built this company from nothing. I know how to run it efficiently, and I'm about to prove that toxic hustle culture is completely unnecessary." He looked at his children, then back at the board. "I lost my wife 18 months ago. What you don't know is that I almost lost my children too, to my neglect. I was so consumed with building an empire that someone was hurting them in my own home." Emma squeezed his hand. "I'm done," Marcus continued. "I'm done pretending sacrifice means abandoning the people who matter most. I'm done measuring success by revenue instead of whether my kids smile when I come home. If that makes me weak, find someone stronger." The room was silent. Then Jennifer stood. "I have a daughter I barely see. If you're changing the culture, I'm in." One by one, others nodded. David smiled. "Motion to approve?" "Approved," came the chorus. Marcus lifted Tyler onto the conference table. "This is my office, buddy. What do you think?" Tyler looked around, then said loudly, "It needs more toys." The room erupted in genuine laughter. 2 weeks later, David called with news. Cassandra took a plea deal, 18 months mandatory therapy. Her therapist license is revoked permanently. Marcus felt nothing but exhaustion. "So we weren't the first family." "No, but you were the first to make sure she couldn't do it again." That evening, Marcus told the children. Emma said simply, "Good. I was scared of her." "I know, baby," Marcus said. "I'm so sorry." "But Maria wasn't scared," Emma added. "She protected us." Tyler climbed into Maria's lap. "Maria's the bravest." Maria wrapped her arms around him, tears shining. "You're both pretty brave, too." Thanksgiving morning arrived with rare sunshine. Marcus woke to laughter drifting from the kitchen. Downstairs, organized chaos reigned. Maria taught Emma how to make stuffing. Tyler sat on the counter mashing sweet potatoes enthusiastically. David attempted to understand turkey roasting instructions. "You baste it every 30 minutes, Maria explained patiently. "Who has time for that?" David protested. "People who want moist turkey," Maria grinned. Marcus leaned in the doorway, just watching. This was what home was supposed to sound like. Emma noticed him. "Daddy, come help. Maria's teaching me the secret recipe." "What's the secret?" Marcus asked. Maria leaned in conspiratorially. "Lots of butter and even more love." Tyler giggled. "That's not a secret. That's just cooking. Knowing when to add the love, that's the trick," Maria said, booping his nose. The afternoon unfolded in beautiful chaos. Rolls burned slightly. Tyler dropped cranberry sauce. Emma sneezed into the green beans. None of it mattered. When they sat at the breakfast bar, not the formal dining room, Marcus felt profound gratitude. "I'd like to say something," he announced. Everyone looked at him. 6 months ago, I almost lost everything that mattered. I was so busy building something impressive that I forgot to protect something irreplaceable." He looked at his children. "Emma, Tyler, I'm sorry for being absent, but I promise I will show up every day." "We forgive you, Daddy," Emma said, eyes glistening. "Every day," Tyler added seriously, making everyone laugh. Marcus turned to Maria. "And you saved my family when you had no reason to. You stood in harm's way for children who weren't yours. You taught me what courage looks like." His voice cracked. "I can't repay that, but I can honor it by being better." Maria wiped her eyes. "You already are." David raised his glass. "To family, the one we're born into and the one we choose." "To family," they echoed. Later, after the children fell asleep during a movie, Marcus and Maria cleaned together, moving in comfortable rhythm. I enrolled in my last semester today, Maria said quietly. I'll graduate in June. That's wonderful, Marcus said. I was offered a position at the Children's Crisis Center, Maria continued, but I'm not taking it. What? Why not? Because these children still need me, Maria said. They've become my family. I can't leave. Maria, you can't put your career on hold. I'm not, she interrupted gently. I'm choosing what matters most. Emma and Tyler need consistency. They need to know people they love aren't going anywhere. You love them, Marcus said softly. I do, Maria admitted, like they were my own. Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. It's the greatest gift you could give us. Section 12. The New Beginning, 475 words. They sat as fog rolled in from the bay. Rebecca would have loved you, Marcus said, not just because you protect our children, but because you see them, really see them. Maria turned to him. Tell me about her. So Marcus talked about Rebecca's laugh, about how she danced while cooking, about building DeliverNow together in their tiny apartment. He talked until the words ran out and tears came. Maria sat beside him, not touching, just present. Thank you for letting me remember her, Marcus finally said. She deserves to be remembered, Maria replied. Marcus looked at her, this woman who'd saved his family, taught him real strength, chosen to stay. Maria, he said quietly, I don't know how to navigate this family we're building, but I know I want you in it, not as an employee, as part of us. Is that something you'd want? Maria smiled through tears. I'm already part of you. I have been since I decided those children were worth fighting for. Marcus understood then what Rebecca had taught him. Family isn't just blood. It's people who show up, who stay, who love through brokenness. Then welcome home, he whispered. Maria reached over and took his hand. I've been home for a while. I was just waiting for you to notice. They sat as fog pressed against windows, and children slept nearby. A family, broken, rebuilt, whole in ways that had nothing to do with blood and everything to do with choice. Marcus thought of the delivery uniform in his closet, reminder of the man he'd had to become to see truth. He thought of Cassandra's lies and his blindness, how close he'd come to losing everything. But mostly he thought about second chances, about Grace arriving in unexpected forms, in a housekeeper's uniform, standing between danger and innocence, refusing to back down. Thank you, he said again. Maria squeezed his hand. Thank you for opening your eyes. The foghorn sounded from the bay. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new moments to choose presence over absence. But tonight, they were here, together, home. 1 year later, at the DeliverNow company picnic, Marcus stood at the grill while Emma and Tyler ran with other children, shrieking with laughter. Maria approached with lemonades. Your burgers are burning. I got distracted, Marcus admitted, gesturing at the scene. A year ago, I would have worked through this weekend. Now I'm here, burning burgers, and I've never been happier. Character growth looks good on you, Maria smiled. Their relationship had evolved slowly. From employer and caregiver to something deeper, neither rushed to define. Emma approached. Dad, is Maria staying with us forever? Marcus knelt down. Emma, I can't promise what forever looks like, but Maria is family now, and family means we stay. We work through things together. Emma turned to Maria. Do you promise too? Maria knelt beside Marcus. I promise, mi amor. I'm not going anywhere. Emma hugged them both, and Marcus felt Maria's hand find his behind Emma's back. When Emma ran off, they stood, still holding hands. That was quite a promise, Marcus said. I meant every word, Maria replied. So did I. Marcus, Maria began. I love you, Marcus said, not just for what you've done for my children, but for who you are, for your strength and kindness. I should have said it months ago. Maria's eyes filled. I love you too, since the day you chose your children over your pride. May I kiss you? Right here, in front of everyone? Especially here. I'm done hiding what matters." The kiss was soft, gentle, perfect. Around them, employees whistled. Tyler's voice carried, "Ew, Dad's kissing Maria." Emma's response, "It's about time." They broke apart, laughing. Marcus thought about the journey, from lies to truth, blindness to sight, broken to healing, about the delivery uniform that changed everything, the woman who stood in harm's way, the children who learned love arrives in unexpected forms. "Ready to face the music?" Maria asked as children raced toward them. "With you, always." As Tyler and Emma crashed into them, Marcus wrapped arms around all three, his daughter, his son, and the woman who'd taught him that real wealth had nothing to do with money. The San Francisco sun shone bright. The fog would come later, but they would face it together, and that was the only truth that mattered. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story. Dear viewers, this story reminds us that wealth cannot protect us from blindness and that sometimes the people with least power carry the most courage. Marcus had everything money could buy, but almost lost what mattered most. Maria had nothing but integrity, yet risked everything to protect children who weren't darn hers. This story shows that real family is built through daily choice to show up, stay present, love even when difficult. Second chances are possible when we humble ourselves, admit failures, and do the hard work of change. Tell us where you're watching from and what you learned today. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it. Before you go, tell us in the comments. 1. What lesson did you learn from Marcus and Maria's story? 2. Do you think Marcus deserved a second chance? 3. What would you have done in Maria's position? Your answers mean everything to us. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next emotional story.